For today, we're just doing a little bit of review of the algebra stuff, and then we're going to take a basic 20, and then you won't even have to finish it today, even though you theoretically could. It's just your homework, whatever you don't finish. So I'm just going to ask you to work on it until the end of the hour. Shorter classes today because of the Pep Fest. But did you know it was rise over run, which is the y's, even rhymes with rise, subtracted over the x's subtracted, but the order kind of does matter. So like it's y sub 2 minus y sub 1 and x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So you can't just kind of subtract them any way you want. So that negative 10 minus the 3, see, negative 10 minus 3 makes negative 13. And then it's 8 minus 2, which is 6. Negative 13, 6. Who had that before I said it? Okay, awesome. This should be almost insultingly easy. But yet, a good 30% of kids in here would have got that wrong. If I'd have just said, do it, it's worth 10 points. All right, this one, find 3 points on the equation. You'd be surprised how much this comes up. It comes up in higher algebra. It comes up in honors higher algebra. It comes up in pre-calc. And it comes up in FST. All of the classes that people are going to be taking over the next 2 years. Well, you pick any points you want, but you pick strategically. Like, you could pick 70, but that'd be dumb because then it's going to go way off the graph. So probably pick like 0. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 8 is 8, 0 comma 8. Find me 3 points on this. That's 1 point. Row 2, person 1. And Mara, that's you. Give me a point.
7, 2.
Put a 7 in. And 7 times 2 is 14 plus the 8, 22. 722 is a point. 7 was an unusual choice. It's a big number, but it's totally okay. How about, did somebody else put in 1? All right, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 8 is 10. So I put in a 1 and I get 10. I bet you that's on a lot of charts, 110. All right, it's not a bad idea to put in on negative number. Because why? Let me show you why. Here's your graph. If you only put in positive numbers, you only get things over here. Do you get it would make some sense to get something over on this side of the graph? So you want to put in like negative 1. Everybody, if you haven't already, please put in negative 1. Negative 1. Row 2. Person 4. Sadie, that's you. What do you say? All right, negative 2 plus 8 is 6. Nice job. Okay, now if I graph this thing, there's more than one way to graph it. I could have said, there's my slope, there's my y-intercept. Do you remember that way? That's the y-intercept. That's where it touches my y-axis, like way up here. And then it's got a slope of 2, so it's kind of steep. Or I could actually just graph these points. 0, comma 8, it's right there. 1, comma 10, it's right there. Negative 1, comma 6, it's right there. So just graphing the dots works, or saying that's the y-intercept and that's the slope also works. All these little algebra things that are so critical. All right, we're going to take a second for fractions because always surprises me how many problems kids have with this, but I get it. Fractions is one of the most hated topics in an elementary school. So if I add these, I got to get a common what? Denominator. So to get a common denominator, just times this by this. They make it so much more complicated than that, but it's all you have to do. Just multiply those, and 6 is what you want to change them to. This one you'd times by 3 to get there. This one you'd times by 2 to get there. And now it's in sixths, and this is in sixths. But the key is to figure out what to multiply the top by. We already know the bottom's going to be 6. So 3 times 1 here gives me 3. 1 times 2 there gives me 2. Adding, and always, there's a few people who are like, why don't you add the bottom? Well, these are sixths. They're like little wedges of a pizza that are 1/6 of the pizza. And I have 3 wedges here, 2 wedges here. That makes 5 out of 6. 5 1/6 size wedges. 5/6. All right, so that's adding. That's one of the harder ones. You know, multiply and divide are so easy because if you have a multiply, you just multiply across the top and the bottom. One of the worst things ever was somebody inventing cross multiplication because you don't ever have to cross multiply. And now kids think you should cross multiply these. You don't cross multiply these. That doesn't help anything. It doesn't do anything. When you cross multiply would be if it was like 1/2 equals 4/8. Okay, that's not what we're doing. And there's another way to do those that wouldn't make kids think you always cross multiply. You just multiply across. 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 8 is 16, and then you should be able to reduce. I personally think of this as 4 times 1 over 4 times 4, and then anybody that writes it like that would see that that cancels. Now, you may have your own way of reducing, but that's a way to get it to 1/4 that'll work every single time. Just turn it into 2 things that multiply, and then cancel one of them. All right. Do I have to send a letter? Yeah. Put it away. Okay. So, my next little trick is to take a fraction over a fraction and turn it into a multiply. This one turns over and becomes 4 over 3. And then I get multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom. So you just have to take the bottom one and flip it. And then it's just 4 times 1 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 4 is 6. Well, so you can't cancel that one. Well, it's because you haven't factored it yet. 2 times 2 over 2 times 3, and now you can cancel it. You reduce any way you want to, but that's how I do it. Okay, so that's a little quick reminder of how to add, subtract. Add and subtract are basically the same. You get a common denominator. Multiply and divide, no common denominator. All right, and you might think, why are we still going over this? Because last time we took this test, the average was an F. Okay, now I think you're smarter than you were on the third day of school when we took this last time. The average was an F, not everybody. But now I'm assigning one that is in Schoology. If you open it up, you should be able to start it right now. It is not time. You can use scratch paper or virtual scratch paper. And if you get stuck, I will even help you because this one does not count as a test. This one just counts as homework. So it would be very smart for you to get stuck on number 5 and raise your hand and I come over and help. Okay? So this will be a really perfect way to go into the weekend with something that's valuable, not that hard, and we can do in a shorter class period. Because if you didn't know already, class periods are shorter today so that we have a big pep fest at the end of the day. Okay, and that's all I got for you for today.